Picture two friends, Ryan and Adam. Same neighborhood, rent is almost identical. Ryan earns $95,000 a year. Walk into his apartment and you'll see a 65-inch TV mounted on the wall, a leather couch still wrapped in plastic, kitchen appliances that have never been opened, and an entire spare room that's just become a dumping ground for extra stuff. But check his bank account and his hands start shaking. 2 missed paychecks away from a full-blown crisis. Adam earns just $52,000 a year, almost half.
Walk into his place and you'll notice space. A simple couch, a normal-sized TV, a kitchen with only the tools he actually uses. That spare room? It's an actual bedroom, not storage. When Adam checks his bank account, he's calm because he's sitting on 18 months of expenses saved. And 20% of every paycheck goes straight into investments. Same neighborhood, half the salary, 10 times the financial security. This isn't a story about income. It's a story about a hidden relationship between stuff and money that most people never figure out.
Ryan isn't a bad person. He has no reckless habits. He just slowly built a lifestyle that eats his entire paycheck every single month to maintain. Adam figured something out. Owning less doesn't mean living worse. It means living on purpose. And that purpose is exactly what builds financial freedom. Here's a concept that will change how you look at every purchase from now on. Everything you buy has 2 price tags. The first is obvious, the number on the receipt. Everyone sees that one. The second price tag, almost nobody notices it.
The second cost is space. In most cities, every square foot you use costs roughly $30 to $50 a year in implicit rent. If your treadmill eats up 20 square feet and mostly holds laundry, you're quietly paying $600 to $1,000 a year to store a machine you never turn on. The second cost is maintenance. That boat or bike sitting untouched in the garage, insurance, servicing, cleaning. Industry estimates put annual upkeep at roughly 10% of the item's value every year, whether you use it or not.
Third, mental energy. Studies show visual clutter raises cortisol levels and reduces your brain's ability to focus. Your stuff is quietly stressing you out, even when you don't consciously notice it. And the biggest one, opportunity cost. That $15,000 you sank into a home gym could have gone into an index fund and grown to $45,000 or $50,000 over 15 years. You didn't just buy a home gym, you traded away a chunk of your future freedom.
Rule 1. Calculate cost per use before you buy anything. Before any purchase, ask, how many times will I realistically use this? Divide the price by that number. A $200 jacket worn twice costs $100 per wear. A $400 jacket worn 200 times costs $2 per wear. The expensive one is actually the cheaper choice. It works both ways. A $2,000 mattress used every night for 10 years costs about 55 cents per use. That's an incredible deal for something that affects your health daily.
Rule 2. Run the replacement test on everything you own. Walk through your home and ask one honest question for every item. If this disappeared today, would I actually go buy it again? Be honest. Would you replace that fondue set? That bread maker collecting dust for 2 years? For most things, the answer is no. Those items are in your life through inertia, not intention. Sell them, donate them, or toss them. You'll get the space back and a lighter mind. Rule 3. Never upgrade out of boredom. A lot of people earn great salaries and still have nothing to show for it because they replace perfectly working things just because something newer exists. Phone works fine, but the new camera looks nicer. Car runs great, but the new model looks sleeker. That's not an upgrade. It's wealth destruction disguised as progress. The average person replaces their phone every 2 to 3 years while the old one still works perfectly. Over 30 years, that habit alone can cost tens of thousands of dollars. Simple rule, as long as it does its job, it's functional. Being bored of it isn't failure. Rule 4. Make spending hard and saving easy.
Humans default to the path of least resistance. If spending is easy and saving is hard, you'll spend. So remove saved cards from shopping sites. Delete the shopping apps. Set a 24-hour rule before any non-essential purchase. On the flip side, set up automatic transfers to investments the day your paycheck lands, so the money is gone before you even see it. That 24-hour rule alone kills roughly 70% of impulse purchases. Most cravings for an object fade if you don't act on them immediately. This is the trap that catches high earners the most. They never decide what enough looks like. Income goes up, lifestyle goes up with it. The new lifestyle becomes the baseline, so they need even more income just to feel like they're progressing. The cycle never ends. So decide in advance what home is enough, what car is enough, what wardrobe is enough. Once that line is drawn, every raise flows straight into savings and investments instead of lifestyle.
Someone who defines enough at $60,000 a year and then starts earning $150,000 sends that entire $90,000 gap straight toward financial freedom. Someone who keeps moving the goalpost upward, even at the same income, ends up saving almost nothing.
The conventional view says wealth is what you own. House, car, stuff. But real wealth is optionality. Your options. Can you walk away from a job that's wrecking your mental health? Can you take 6 months off for a family emergency? Can you take the risk of starting a business?
Those options only exist for people who've built a real gap between what they earn and what they spend. Someone earning $200,000 but spending $195,000 has zero optionality. They're chained to their income. Someone earning $80,000 but spending $45,000 has real freedom. Every purchase is really a trade. Freedom for possession. Sometimes that trade is worth it. Most of the time, it isn't.
Remember Ryan and Adam? Ryan earns $95,000 and is 2 paychecks from crisis. Adam earns $52,000 and has 18 months of cushion. The difference was never income. The difference was clarity. Understanding that more stuff doesn't equal more happiness. Both of these lifestyles are available to you right now, no matter what you currently earn. The only real question is, do you want to own your stuff, or do you want your stuff to own you? If this helped, drop a like, and let me know in the comments which rule hit closest to home for you.